Hello folks, it's a new day. Fan shroud's in. Got a few little things to tidy up on that, but I won't bore you with those details. You notice I'm in long sleeves? Yeah, it's getting cool out. Be a real good day to get started on that heater, put it back in the truck. Now, this is the heater fan housing and the heater that came out of a 53, out of this truck in fact. And that saying should be able to just put it right back in. Well, there's a problem with that. I've modified the firewall. That's going to give me a little bit of issue. That, and I've got the entire electronics, computers and wiring harness from a 94 Chevy stuffed up underneath that die, so I'm gonna have to go back and probably do some rerouting and making that a little more permanent. I just jammed it up in there just so I could drive the truck, so I'll have to deal with that. Before we got started this morning, I thought I'd better fix the lid to my handy dandy handheld punch. This is an El Cheapo. It's been with me 20 some years, and the lid finally fell off of it yesterday when I was using it, so we've got it all taped back on. Thanks for zip tape. Anyway, let's get this thing put back in its box and put it up on the shelf and get started on this heater. I did, if you remember from the other day, that squirrel cage hole was plumb absolutely jam-packed full of mouse droppings and mostly acorns and all the padding from the original seat that I couldn't find. Well, I found it. It was all jammed inside this heater. And no, I did not get the table cleared off as I promised. Maybe one of these days we'll get to see it empty, but don't expect it to stay that very long, because it's a flat surface, and in my world, any flat surface collects stuff until it falls off the edges. Anyway, let's get back to putting this heater back together. Find some eyes. And see if I can remember where all these little tiny screws came from. And hopefully this is timed, or I can only put it on the right way, but it does not look like it is. And probably the only reason why it would matter would be to get these wires to go through the firewall, because the fan motor actually sticks out in the engine bay. I think I'm gonna try that and hope for the best. Okay. Yeah, there's 5 little screws. Does that look like the ones that went there? Naturally, I did not take a picture of this or pay much attention to where the screws come from. But that screw looks like it pretty much matches the footprint from its predecessor, so yes, I believe this is the right way, because I think this one oddball longer screw was either here or there. And since that's all rusty and that looks rusty, I'm gonna say probably right there. If you don't know what you're doing, and you're taking apart something you've never taken apart before, not that this is all that complicated, but it's best to pay real close attention to how it came apart, and or be able to read the signs of how it goes back together. Before the day's over, I will probably wind up pulling these seats completely back out of here so I can get in there and root around up underneath there. As you can see, I started cutting wire ties and letting the wire harness hang down. But right in this hole here, that's right there is where the fan motor sticks through. And I think, actually, having the heater back in there will give me some place to more properly mount that computer. I may have to unplug this harness and reroute it up over the cowl vent linkage. You probably can't see up in there, but anyway, this is a piece we're after. We'll put that on and then we'll bring it over here and start trying to jam it back in that hole. Alrighty, let's see if we can get this thing glued back together. Hold that so it don't fall out. See if we can set that down in there. And making sure the inlet and the outlet's facing the right direction. Pinch our fingers 4 or 8 times. Get down in there. Come on, get down in there. There you go. That old rubber seal still got a little bit of pliability in it. All right, I need 4 of them little screws, preferably that match. And by God, there ain't 4 either, there's 6. 1, 2, 3 times 2, yeah, by God, 6. Look at there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe those are them. No idea where that goes. I know where those go. Those hold this thing. And by the wear mark, it goes that direction. Now then, my golly, would you look at that right there? It just fell right in. Rocket science, rocket science. I do know where that screw went. It holds the plenum on. That's where they went. And after going over and looking at the firewall, it looks like I need to try to clock this fan motor where the wires stick straight out the bottom, because there's a factory cutout in the 6 o'clock position. I'd say that's where the wires were supposed to go through. But if you look at it real close, it looks like somebody's taken probably a rat tail file and at least 1 or 2 other times filed a hole in it. And I'm guessing that that's probably because they didn't have these timed right and couldn't get the wires to go through there. So we're going to take this back off and rotate it back around 1 set of holes, and hopefully those will time out in the 6 o'clock position. And maybe we won't have to fight it too hard getting it back in there. And we'll see. Okay, oddball screw. Naturally, when I took this thing out, I didn't pay any attention to where the nuts that came off of it went, or these little spacers. They go on there to space it back away from the firewall. So I'll be searching for and or making some of those, probably. Well, it don't look like. Well, I got a baby. Yeah, it's not exactly in the 6 o'clock position, but hopefully that's close enough to snake that through there. wish it was possible just stick the fan in from the outside. No, that seal ring is supposed to be on the, okay, never mind. Sorry I blew up. What you don't usually see when people are doing stuff like this, and I won't bore you with it either, is the 9,000 times things come apart and go back together before you get a finished result. I did not show you yesterday, for instance, when I was working on that fan shroud, that the reason why I put that truck on the low lift is not only so I reach over the fenders, but so I could get up underneath of it real easy and have more exposure to underneath of it. What I'm saying is in the process of doing what I did yesterday, even though I know I didn't show it even once, that truck went up and down on that lift more times than a 7-year-old hyperactive kid on a 2-liter bottle of soda pop in a bounce house. I'd make a modification, raise it up, walk underneath there, look at it, let it back down, make another modification. Anyway, I didn't show you the bajillion times that shroud came in and out of that firewall either. Firewall, radiator. Because it was, well, let's say more than a couple. To anybody that's done this kind of stuff, you expect that. But if you watch too many TV builds or YouTube builds, you think them guys are geniuses. They built that whole car in 30 minutes. Well, in fact, sometimes over several years. Most people don't show that. All right. I need a little tiny center punch. Maybe this will work. If I get this one started, that'll hold the rest down. Looky there. Right in like it knows what I wanted of it. Now then, it's got that one captured, so it should go right in. Then go back to that first one and try to get it started straight because it's not happy. I'm not happy with it either. All right, before we do that, let's see if we can get this one. And of course, you can't see a blessed thing I'm doing probably. Probably don't want to. See, itty bitty tiny screws. Hope I don't drop that because I'll be searching all over the place for it. All right. Anyway, trying to get them itty bitty tiny screws with my stubby arthritic fingers, starting them little bitty holes straight. Because the sheet metal's real thin and old and the screws are old, and once you strip out the holes, they're always stripped out, so we don't want that to happen. There. No, don't do that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that thing's trying to start a little crooked. It's still trying it. And I need 4 more hands to hold that like that. Come on, straighten up. Nah, it's mad. And I'm gonna make it matter. Come on. What's that old saying? It's always the last screw that gets you. Yeah, well. It may not be the case, but it's the one that gets you. You'll remember, I guarantee you that. And boy, that thing just is not. You know what? Let's get a little mechanical advantage. Maybe I have a fighting chance of getting out ahead on this thing. I was bragging because that gasket material that I thought was completely dried out surprisingly has a little life left in it. Well, it's that life that's fighting me. If I can get that compressed in, get that centered in that hole better, maybe it'll go in straight. Looky there. Much better. Now then, let's go see if we can correct this very first one. Yeah, that's all locked over sideways. Goes in a heck of a lot easier when they're straight. Okay, that's the intake side. And that screw I said I didn't know where it went. There's two of them that go over here to hold the plenum on. So you can differentiate between defrost and floor heat. That'll be a whole nother contest. This, other than just getting it up in there, shouldn't be that big of a deal. This should fit in its original location just fine. It's about right here, right in the center of the firewall. The firewall, I moved it back, so that might take a little bit of slicing and dicing to correct that. All right, let's take this over and get up in there and see what we can do. Well, a minute ago when I was running my face at y'all about situational awareness and blowing my own horn, I inadvertently took that fan out and put it in almost exactly opposite of what I was trying to do. So before I even got it off the table, I noticed it. So it's take the screws back out, turn it around again. It's only the third time so far. It may be 3 or 4 or 8 more times. Who knows? Who knows? The guys that actually build and do all their own fabrication, the really high-end cars, wow, that's all I can say. You don't really appreciate what it takes to do that and get the... I'd like to go tour one of them shops someday and just see, maybe ask some personal questions. Maybe they don't actually put their britches on one leg at a time. I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to it. Because I lost 3 of the original spacers to hold this thing back out from the firewall, I had to cut 3 more. Now this stainless tube is just small enough that it'll go right through those holes in the firewall. See if I can get up here where you can see it. So yeah, that's supposed to hold that out off the firewall. And because of that, I cut them just a little bit short and then put washers on them. And as you can see, I've got the computer and all the wiring harness jerked back down out of there. We'll see if we can get this heater stuffed in there. Let me turn you upside down here and see if you can get you perched up where you can see. A nice shadow. Yeah, hopefully that's not going to be upside down when I post it. We'll see. All right. Wish me luck. Probably need somebody on the outside to receive these wires. Get them threaded through that hole. There is a cutout. I need this camera mounted on my forehead maybe so you can see what in the world I'm doing. Or somebody can see where I was doing. This may take more than 3 or 8 attempts. Okay. Fan body. Wiring harness is trapped in the wrong side of it. Naturally. Back up, regroup. All the washers are still on there. All right. Bang in on some more stuff. I haven't pinched my finger yet this morning or bled, so I don't know how much of that you can actually see. If I'd have known this heater was going back in there, I should have done it before I put any of these wires in. That just almost makes sense, wouldn't it? I'm gonna knock my light down. Got the wire harness right square in my face. Got 2 of the wires through. Kinda-ish. Well, I got you knocked around where nobody can see anything. I'm gonna stop this and regroup. Well, after going out and looking out in the firewall, I was almost successful in that first attempt. I got both the heater lines and all 4 studs through the holes, just like they should have been. And 2 of the wires, unfortunately, one of them was bent back against itself and kinked pretty hard in that little access hole it goes through. I'll show you that here in a minute. Why I had to reclock this, because these wires have got to go through the same time that fan housing does, that fan motor housing. And if you don't have it clocked right, it won't go through that hole. So now I'm gonna do what I should have done in the first place. Take them up where I can feed them through there. Maybe. And I really ought to have somebody on the outside to pull this through when I started in there, but then I may have to give up and go crying to mama to help me here in a minute. Anyway, I used the last of that tape, didn't I? All right. This right here is what we're aiming for. Those wires have got to go through that cutout right there. Now you can see that's factory. You probably can't tell, but there's a little lip right there. That one don't have a lip and that one don't. And I suspect they were cut with either a rat tail file or some kind of a grinder. Anyway, I'm gonna shut this off and try this one more time. I can't figure out how to hold the camera and the 4 or 8 hands I need to do this, so hopefully we'll come right back in a few minutes with success. All right, when I put that up there, grab them wires and pull them too, would you? Are you ready? All right. I'll hand these wires out to you. See them? You hope them pull, would you? Put a little pressure on them. Don't pull them too, dang it. Just put a little pressure on them. Okay. Got them wires straight. Alright, let me see what you got. Stay up there. Thank you. Couldn't have done it without you. Alright, hey, stay up there. See if I can get this thing captured before it gets blown away from me. I'll be awful upset if I have to do this again just because I dropped it. But it'd be par for the course. Alrighty. Actually, I was expecting to fight this way a lot harder than I did so far. So that's a little concerning. Generally, if it goes the first time, it means, well, that's speaking doom and gloom. We don't want to do that, but that's the way it works a lot of the time. In our age, an old buddy of mine has got me convinced that if you're tinkering with something like this, and if you haven't bled yet, you ain't getting it right yet. Well, my hands, so skin's getting thin enough, it don't take much to cut them. Come here. Okay, did that nut fall off into the abyss? There it is. Can I get it out of there? That's the next question. So hands used to work pretty good, but that was a few decades ago. Used to not think twice about trying to start something like this. Get a nut back in a hole like it, no big deal, don't have to see it. Oh my God, looky there. It started. One more, and then we can go try to figure out what's going wrong. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe. Let's look at that there. That might just work out snazzy, my little Amazon $20 mixer valve. Hopefully the control cable's long enough to reach it. And I haven't screwed up, broke any of the wires on the fan motor yet. That'd be a blessing. Alrighty. Fingers off the lens, dum-dum. All right. That kind of looks like it belongs there. Now all I gotta do is get all that mess tucked back up in there and hidden where it belongs. That heater makes me a pretty good shelf for it. Find me a little piece of insulation to put between it and the computer, the heater and the computer, and call that home. All righty. Well. I think I'm gonna go find me a sandwich and come back and start doing the real battle. Well, after a pretty fair contest, I've got most everything jammed back up in there. Got that plenum stuck up in there, and it almost fits where it belongs. I've got lucky. I can still operate a cowl vent lever. I've got some more stuff to tidy up, and then we'll be off and going. I'm not going to bore you with running wires for the heater fan or putting in that last defroster duct. I don't think I can film up in there anyways. So I'm gonna get off of here and turn my tunes on and thrash on these bazillion little tiny details I have left. And get ready to load up and hopefully make Robber's Cave this weekend. That's to get down there in time to rest up for a day. We really need to leave tomorrow morning, about a 6.5 hour drive from here to a place in Oklahoma. And then Saturday morning, all goes well, we'll get up, and it's about an hour drive from where we're going to be there over to Robbers Cave State Park. And I believe the name of that is the Robbers Cave Fall Foliage Cruise. It's at Robbers Cave State Park. I doubt that I have any watchers from that area, but if I do, stop by and say hi if you see me there. Anyhow, if you found this entertaining, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and come back and we'll see what we can get into next time. Thank you now. Y'all have a blessed day.